on these sort of like service contract things. So if they were getting electricity, they were paying huge rates for it. So they got charged as much for a few days' electricity as they get charged for a whole year's electricity normally. So it was bad. It was bad news. Sorry, that's my
That's the that's
clip downstairs.
the 8 a.m. in Colorado.
We must be excited, you know. We
Oh,
have
that's
200-year-old clock and it still keeps good time. That's pretty good.
I thought it was Jimmy. Jimmy saying we'll kick off now. I'm not sure if it was a new effect. For anyone that's on, you're very welcome. We've George Anderson popping in. He's on his 8 a.m. cup of coffee in Colorado, and we're 3 p.m. in Ireland, and wherever you're dialing in. Either way, George, it's great to have you on, and we'll probably chat more around nature, birds of prey, skiing in Colorado than anything else. But it'd be good for those that don't know you, George. It'd be great to hear a little bit of about your background and yourself, because you've been in the MSP community. Obviously, you're with WebRoot. You're sporting the top there for a number of years, and you've had the fortunate journey with them and all that goes with it. It'd be great to hear a little bit around your background for those that may not know you, George, and what you do.
Originally was I thought my early career I actually spent in the music business of all things, so just we won't go into that in any depth or detail.
Maybe.
And no, definitely not.
Okay.
I came out of that and I went into direct marketing and worked for direct marketing agencies for years and years, and that's and I had an interest then between, because direct marketing is all about customer relationship marketing, building database systems, sort of accurate targeting and messaging, etc. So it was a mix of IT and marketing, which always got me interested. And then around about the end of the 90s, a friend of mine who I worked with in advertising asked me to join a company called Computer Center, a big systems integrator in the UK. They had started a sort of a small internet division, and that's why I joined them, because it was a very straight up, straight down organization run by Mike Norris in those days, but I think still is. The guys, they're very, very suited, if you like, to go to work and things like that. But there's this little offset, and that broke into being, dealing with managed security services. Dealt with me sort of actually with a couple of other guys starting a security practice at WebRoot then in about 2000 or so, 2001. And then was in that for about 7 or so years, came out, went to ClearSwift, which is a web and email appliance company, and also sort of content filtering, and was with them for about 4 years, and then joined WebRoot. And then the rest, as they say, is history. The MSP space was really interesting. We launched our first endpoint product, which was very revolutionary, still is in my view. 2011, 2012 we went into a business market. Around about 2013 because it was really an SMB product, by the way, we always launched as an SMB product. We started speaking to a company called Anatel down in Australia, who were a very large managed services provider, and it was Crispin Kerr, actually. I mean, he's now with Proofpoint now, and Crispin for years, but Crispin came to me and said, these guys are saving 70 to 80% of their costs by using you instead of, a typical AV.
Yeah.
And that was because we'd automated it all, because we'd taken the cost all out of it. So we really at that point in time decided that there's a business there for us within the MSP space, and that's what we should be heading for. And then we did a whole lot of development around, developing a multi-tier console and being able to go and assist in the MSP space. I think also we were very conscious that we were not selling them or selling MSPs a product, but a service.
Yeah.
And I think that was something at that time other people just hadn't wrapped their head around hardly at all. Back then in 2012, there was still an attitude of, people wanting to go and sell things to MSPs, and I think we sort of realized that MSPs have a right to choose whatever they want to choose in the way of technology. They'll choose the thing that suits them and their stack and their clients the best, and they'll apply and go down that way. And they're in the end selling a service to their customers that they've got to make money out of and make profit out of. And one of the things that always concerns me is the profitability of some of the MSPs in our space. So
yeah,
that was really it. And then from then we obviously flourished. I think because of our attitude, I think because of our integrity, and I think for a lot of other things, we sort of realized it was a community as well, or lots of different communities. There's not one type of MSPs, there's lots of different types of MSPs, lots of different communities, and we tried to participate. And obviously, the thing we're missing most these days is going to all these events. We used to, I don't know about you guys, but and Cormac could probably say as well, we went to tons of events. I mean, probably hundreds and hundreds of events a year. It gave us great feedback. We could speak directly to our customers, who in that case were the MSPs, and also if things were going on, if we were making mess of things, we could at least explain it to them. But it was that dialogue sort of exists, and I think this year we've really seen. I've probably seen for the last couple of years that difficulties with that dialogue through acquisitions and various other things, but that's
it's really interesting. I mean, we often look, when you look back with a 20-year time horizon, as you just did, and you think about the pace of change.
Yeah.
And there's more, more data, more devices. What's your thought on, like you just mentioned, the service, because that's something that it's not a new concept, but how that pace is across all vendors, George. Like Webroot, obviously an early adopter around the service-driven piece. But do you think that's coming from,
I think that's a cloud mentality too. It's a cloud mentality. It's a SaaS. It's the cloud mentality. You come in from a different perspective. You sort of. You're not also creating product that you sort of wait a year before you drop the next version. You're trying to continually innovate the product, and that sort of reflects also the pace of change that exists in the real world, because you've got to be able to move at a different pace. The old Bill Gates book, Internet of the Light, speed of light, or whatever it is. The attributes. It's just you come in from a different perspective, and a lot of the older vendors they didn't see the world in that way, and they still saw the channel as that's what it is, probably the traditional channel as we think of it. So I think things have changed dramatically. I think the cloud, which is still moving on at a pace, if you like, people talk about digital transformation at the moment, which is basically when they're talking about the cloud or variations of it. So those things have changed, and you just got to look at what happens. I mean, this week, what data about Bitdam? I mean, we've seen Microsoft Exchange ransomware sort of, just everything. There's things there's lots of acquisitions, lots of change in the business as well. It's everything's moving very, very fast as people try and jostle. And actually, the thing you got to remember about vendors and speaking as a vendor is you're always trying to, yes, you've got to satisfy today, but you're always trying to actually aim for tomorrow. You're trying to get something which is going to be as relevant tomorrow as it is today, if you like. So it's
what's your thought? I see people like Peter Hennessy on the line. Peter and I be chatting about this sometimes, but when you look across the different geographies, George, Australia, New Zealand, America, Europe, and even within you, there's different stages everybody's at.
Yeah, very much.
From your perspective, like who's sort of further along, and like the MSP model has matured differently, hasn't it?
The US was further along, and because of geography. You've got to think of, you're sitting in a country with vast distances. I mean, the state of Colorado is as big as the UK and Ireland put together, basically. So, and Texas is probably the same size as Europe, as sort of Western Europe, or France, and it's a huge state. So you've got these different dispersed geographies. You've got small businesses in all those different areas, and small medium-sized businesses, and IT companies that were doing break fix in those areas that realized that a service wrap was going to be, because the money in margins, if you like, in hardware and software sales obviously became very squeezed. So people moved more and more to services, and they moved even from break fix. They then maybe went down a security route if they did that. But they started to realize that they could provide infrastructure services. The cloud was starting to happen, etc. So I think the US went quicker into it. There's a lot more of what I call golfing MSPs, I think, in the MSP space in the US. And by that I mean guys who sort of basically, they were doing it like, I wouldn't say it's a part-time job, but it was like a 3 or 4 day a week job, and the other 3 days they would go out and play golf, because they just had it so well sorted out. They had a few very good clients. They looked after them really, really well, and they did that. So it's slightly different. The States, I think, is the States and what it is. And there are differences. The things we see are like, for instance, security awareness training, which which we offer in the US, our penetration in the US is like 65% of MSPs are offering training. If you look at Europe, it's like about 40%. If you look in APAC, actually, it's a little bit higher. I think APAC's a little bit higher than Europe. APAC market's different again. It's very, there's a local market there. I mean, we had an office in Sydney, and hence we did the deal with Anatel way back. But we've always, that local presence is very important to them as well, for culturally, if you like, for what's going on there. And also they get hit a lot. I mean, I don't think people realize that Australia is probably, they always feel they're the test boys for the rest of the world, because they're the ones that wake up first. They're that day ahead of us.
Yes.
So interesting. So in fact, their defenses and their moves there have been a bit different. So, and they've looked at their infrastructure, I think, a lot better than maybe some other parts of the world. But there's huge variances. I mean, we did a phishing clicks thing last year, and I think France were clicking at phishing clicks at 55%, for goodness sake. I mean, so if I want to get hold of somebody's credentials or do some work, I'm going to go for France first, because my hit rate's going to be huge. I think the UK was 24%, which is one of the lowest, by the way, and the average worldwide was about 29%, whatever. That's a big survey. It's about 7,000. So it's the things, people vary and the markets vary, and I think, but I don't think it's always. I think when I think of the UK market, in many ways the UK market was ahead, and then there was a resistance to managed services, and the thing moved back a little bit as well. So it's not as if these things. It's not a constant or linear thing. It's changes happen as well within the markets, which make things different. So it's not all I say.
See, Fiona's on. Good to see you there, Fiona.
Yeah, too.
Be looking forward to events coming back, Fiona, or what's your thoughts on that, timing wise?
Well, we just got the email through there from Data, so they're looking they're doing their DataCon in October. Don't see one for EMEA yet, so it'll be interesting to see what happens when people do come back online. They have their event in for Amsterdam, so so we'll just have to see. In the UK, we're starting to see events, people saying they're going to be doing events in July, because obviously the roadmap taking them up to the 21st of June. And it was funny, we were having the internal conversation about participating at DTX in Manchester in July. And, we were concerned whether people wanted to travel or not. And the sales manager B said, I don't care. I will go to that event. I will get on the train. I am out of London. So she's like, I'll happily just pitch up a tent to go. And if I'm the only person in that hall, I do not care. So people do want to get back out. But then it's when we are fully online, some people might not want to travel. You need to be mindful of people's circumstances. They might have somebody at home that's vulnerable and they don't want to put themselves in that position. Just getting a balance right.
It's interesting. We're speaking with an MSP in the UK today, whose most of their business is in the hospitality space and hotels, and they've seen a marked movement this week and last week, and they're gearing back up again, and they're getting ready for that market to open up, because they've done phenomenally well in terms of the vaccine rollout, and people are, it's like getting ready to go back again. But but to George's point, it's the nature of it, the industry. It's very much relationship driven. It'd be great to actually see people. We see these people time and time again, and working with Cormac previously, he knows. You're catching up with people that sometimes it's once a year that you're catching up with them, but it's great because you still have that relationship. And I think the community, while it is big, it's still small. People tend to move, and particularly MSPs. Once they're in the space, they stay in the space. So you'll see them in one shape or form, whether it's a vendor or with a disty, but they all tend to they all know each other.
And the big events are so good because you get people from all over the world. I mean, I could be sitting in IT Nation in Florida, and basically I know there'll be a whole lot of people from Europe turn up there, or from Australia even. So the customers I have basically globally that I can catch up and meet with. And in fact, most of them will make a point of coming over and saying hello, even if it's just hello. I mean, they'll just say hi, hi sort of thing, because they're getting on with whatever else they want to do at the show. But that's definitely something. I think the things I miss the most is the travel. I used to do quite a lot of standing up and grandstanding on stages, and I enjoy doing that. So that's fine. I miss that, but I miss mainly the the people side and the interaction side and the feedbacks. I think for me, it's, the only way to get that feedback is to go out and get it. And the best way for me to go out and get it is not to get on the phone to everybody, but actually go to events and speak to lots of different people, even people, who are not my customers, who are my competitors too. I've never, Dada and ourselves, we consider ourselves very much competitive these days, but we grew up together, and I think we sort of were like bigger than that. We sort of realize, we just both play in this industry, if you like.
Yeah. Well, that's the important thing with this industry. It's not, the problem is bigger than us all put together. So whether you're a vendor or an MSP, the thing is to build community and build the right relationships to navigate, particularly this year and next year. We see is going to be a problematic time for end customers, small to medium businesses. So, Jimmy, what I know, just staying on the event side, what's your talk on those?
Well, JP, if you asked me 3 weeks ago what I thought, we wouldn't be in events until Q4 probably. But after in the States, the vaccine rollout's been very good. The president announced that all Americans of adult age will have access to a vaccine by May 1st. So that has me optimistic about the timeline speeding up. So, I'm actively checking it out and evaluating about getting back out on the road sooner than originally thought, which I am very happy about because I am ready to be out.
I know. But look, you got out last week.
I did.
George, you were up.
It was up in Vail, the lucky devil, yeah. Skiing.
Yeah. So I shared a story the other day about how I was out in the woods in Colorado and Vail, and I with my friends, we scaled down this cliff covered in snow, and we snuck into this cave, and we were feeding camp robber birds off of our hands. We were putting trail mix nuts in our hand, and they would fly in and perch. What I didn't tell George is I actually have a slow-mo video of it happening. So I wanted to share that with him and on the live real quick.
Oh, nice.
Okay, trying to eat you actually is what I was worried about. Whoa.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very Dr. Doolittle.
Yeah.
I was going to say St. Francis of Assisi, but that just might be like the Catholic school upbringing.
That's the world in Colorado you would not be putting your hand out to, I can assure you, but yeah, that's...
One thing, what? I'm looking forward to get back on the road to make sure I keep my air mile status.
Oh, yeah, forget about that.
I did discover, just so anybody in this call, if you're Aer Lingus, they've extended it out to 2022. I discovered that.
I got that letter as well.
I was delighted. I didn't even get a letter. I just checked it on my phone.
She's very good for me. She brings me things. So the only thing I can say to Fee is Marmite.
Marmite.
Marmite. If you've got somebody traveling, Marmite, please.
Okay. But I will.
That's great.
Oh,
Look,
George, that's a staple in our household, and we can get it here in New York City. So I'd be happy to.
It's like $6 for a little thing about that big or whatever. It's not the getting of it that's the problem. It's the price of it here compared. Yeah. I'm Scottish, so you see that's the thing. That's my Scottish.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that.
Anyway, it's St. Patrick's Day next week as well. I just remembered. It started with me coming off too. So I mean. Actually, in the US, St. Patrick's Day is huge. I think it's bigger here than it is in Ireland, actually.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, you can pick your holiday. Anyone that comes up now, we should celebrate it because it's no matter what. Taking time out, take a celebration. Next Wednesday is St. Patrick's Day, and actually, this day next week will probably reflect that in the coffee chat. But George, we're going to probably wrap it up. It's been great talking to you. We were speaking during the week as well, George, and I think we should come on again and talk more around Colorado, what it's like to live there, the birds of prey. I was fascinated by all of that, but it's great to connect with you, and I want to wish you a great weekend. Thanks for coming on, and it would be wonderful, when things go open up and we share a coffee or whatever it might be at an event sometime, and we get to meet everyone in person. But it's an absolute pleasure, and thank you very much, George. Much appreciated.
It's a pleasure for me too, and like all of you, I'm just missing meeting you all, and I wish we were doing it face to face in some conference room somewhere, and having a real interaction rather than Zoom is good, but it's not that good, if you know what I mean.
We'll make the most of it. And that's it. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next week for St. Patrick's Day next week. So we'll celebrate that. Thanks, George.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.